Now, you said you don't like Christmas.
I may have said that.
But you're involved with this.
This is fun as all get out. I mean, you get to build massive wooden constructs, decorate them, and you get to do it on someone else's dime and someone else's property. I mean, there's nothing better.
Okay, so you're more into, like, the technical aspect of it all.
That lasts far longer than Christmas does.
Okay. How long have you been working here?
I'm going to say 10 years. My parents say 11. However, I'm going to argue I was too young when we started, so I probably have only been here 5.
Oh, okay, when did you start working around here?
Our first year was, I want to say Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Either it was the Three Wise Men. I think it was the Three Wise Men. And if you look behind you probably can't see on camera, but there's a camel head sticking out there. That was based off the first year. What we made was 3 full-sized camels out of paper mache. I hate paper mache.
Oh, man.
It's from that experience and several others from the years after, but thankfully after that we've learned and we no longer use paper mache in our displays.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, rain? You couldn't...
No, what you do is you lay down a thick mat of paper mache, then you cover the entire camel in about 3 layers of spray paint, and then you realize you painted the wrong color and you do it again.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, a lot of people think that Christmas has become too materialistic. What would you say to that?
I'd say probably the statistic I last heard was like there's on the order of $1 trillion spent on Christmas alone, which is significant. I mean, if you look at the U.S.'s national debt, it's around that level, so it's a phenomenal amount. And but really, you can't hardly blame it. I mean, it's a massive money-making time for the major retail outlets. In fact, they moved their accounting cycle over into January just so they can account for what happens here, although I should say it moves into 1 quarter down. But either way, what happens here is a massive moneymaker, not for major corporations, in order for them to keep rolling the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. So it's understandable why they would try to promote, because they're in constant competition. So capitalism pretty much drives that. So I have no problem with the materialism as long as you actually get your head straight. But seeing how few people actually have their heads on straight, there's not much you can do about it. So just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. What do you think it is about Deacon Dave's that attracts so many people?
It's a lot of lights, and there's a lot of work going into a fairly high-quality production every year. Mm-hmm. And it's always different. And there are a few other houses around the valley that also do displays somewhat like this, but nothing on such a dense and renewed scale. Mm-hmm. So it's something fresh every year, and just somehow people seem to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it means a lot to a lot of different people, like Deacon gets people coming up and like, I'm sure you already covered on the bridge, like people propose in the bridge. There's a lot here that people put meaning onto. I mean, Deacon puts very little meaning onto the whole affair, and, well, as little meaning as Deacon can. So people interpret it in their own ways, and from that, it just gains popularity and it becomes some of a tradition to go here every year.
So you said that the Deacon tries to put as little meaning in it as he can.
Well, he tries not to label it. Like, you'll see, there'll be a few things here and there, like nativities are obviously the big thing, but they're more subtle, they're more in the background. There's, like, most of the things you'll see are mainly the light displays, the animatronics, the various other things we've been working on over the years is to make better, like, the quality of the main houses out on the front walkway is actually fairly high. And most of that, like, you have Santa Claus and you have Jesus, like, the two of them normally clash in, like, the normal holiday mythos, like Jesus versus Santa Claus on South Park or what have you, death matches. But I mean, here you have them pretty much in the same thing, and neither one is really trying to outdo the other, so it's not putting a facade on front of it, and it's not forcing you into one mind frame. So because of that, people don't know what to think, so they think of something themselves, and they add more meaning to it that way.
Okay. Now, what's your main job here? You keep talking about all the, the animatronics, the construction, so...
I help screw things together. I help come up with ideas for the mechanics on sometimes. I point out obvious flaws with some things when we're building them and then moving them out here. And on occasion, I just help out my parents mainly when they're doing the construction. And I fortunately am avoiding painting, which is absolutely wonderful, so I don't paint. So I paint as little as I possibly can.
Oh, okay. So your parents work here too?
Yes, my dad is the one who got us into this. I was, let's see here, around 11, if I can date this, about the time when we started, I want to say. So we've just been working here ever since. Mm-hmm. And before that, we were just coming through as one of the groups just walking through. So we've enjoyed it for a long time. We decided to start to help out. So ever since they'd be young, me and my brother have helped out here.
Mm-hmm. So as a family tradition, would you want to continue doing this when you...
It's a massive amount of fun, and it's also a great engineering project. I mean, what normally happens is we come... I'm sure you've got the video for the planning stages, like where everybody comes together. Normally at that point, people will get assigned various jobs. Like our family, I think it was last year, we got assigned a carousel. And unfortunately, I had the idea for that. We learned a lot about how you actually balance out the carousel. The base idea worked over our drive system needed improvement, but at the end we did get a working version of it despite going through several wheels. We had 2 rubber wheels grinding on each other, and unfortunately, in my mental image, I had forgotten that they wear down. So they basically just ground a hole in one wheel, just ground a hole in another wheel, and the thing was spinning. So we changed it over to a belt drive, and that actually got the thing to work. And it turned out really well.
If you could do anything here, like any type of display, what would you choose to do?
Any type of display. Well, there's a lot of displays that get thrown around, themes that get thrown around in joke. Personally, I've always wanted to build a fake polar bear cave that has a polar bear on powered rails. That gets triggered off a motion sensor. Though when someone walks by, the bear lunges out of the cave at high speed, and due to how the force it rears up and then snaps just shy of the fence. But of course, we'd never be allowed to do that. Just like we can't have like water squirters in the coin booth. Okay. So, favorite, but that's a hard one. Warzone Christmas is like Christmas in World War II. That's been thrown around. We're never going to get that. That's more of a joke, honestly. Gosh darn it.
Just watch that.
I'd honestly, I wouldn't want to pick a theme because then I'd imbue it with something that I have, and I'm not nearly as good as picking themes as say Deacon is, and obviously something would probably go terribly wrong, as things normally do.
So things normally go wrong.
Well, there are some displays that, when built, they don't work, and so I have to rebuild them. And like during the course of, I think it was almost last year or 2 years ago, we had a snow making machine. The idea was to make, one of those like air snowballs, or like a snow globe, where like you have all this stuff like blowing up in it, and there's like snow flying around everywhere inside of it. Our goal is to have one of those with a fan underneath. The problem was this thing was like a 10-foot diameter thing. Actually, I want to say more like 8-foot diameter. And the question is, how do we make this thing? We have several really highly skilled engineers on volunteer staff here. Mm-hmm. And it went through 3 sets of engineers until it basically came to the people who are the most qualified, academically, to do this. And it took them, I don't know, I think they took 3 tries to do it fully, and that was after they were the 3rd group to have tried all this stuff. And it was just a nightmare. At the end of it, so we should have just bought something. But then that would look cheaper.
So, have you participated in any pranks on set?
Pranks? Not so much. I actually try to stay away from that. I just sit back and observe because I'm not that good at pranks. Okay. I'm good at like doing tests and helping out when I can, but there are some real pranksters on staff, and they do some fantastic stuff. But when you're going against like competition like this, there's a level of prank you have to pull. Like it can't be a whoopee cushion. Whoopee cushion. You just get laughed. You just like. No, there's a quality of pranks here. Like broken water mains. The basic idea is how close you can get Deacon to having a heart attack without having him actually having a heart attack. Like basically measure how good the prank was by what Deacon's reaction was. It's really. So I try to stay far away just because I don't believe I have the necessary skills in order to pull off, or the ingenuity to pull off something as high caliber as some of the more skilled members of the volunteer crew.
Okay. And to wrap it up, what is your most memorable moment?
Well, horror stories seem to ingrain themselves in my memory fairly well. So, one time we were doing disassembly. Actually, well, there were several. There was the windmill where we built a roughly 25-foot windmill right over here on top of the gazebo. That was fun. Disassembling was really fun because it had been rainy that year, and the gazebo, so the roof had been in the shade the whole time. There had been a thick coat of moss that had grown on top.
Oh.
And when you're on top of that trying to stand, your feet kind of go places.
Oh.
I think, actually, yeah, the windmill spoke was, I think it was maybe a 1-inch diameter steel pipe. But I remember there was the way we had it based on a commutator, so the power could go out to the fan to have the lights on it. And I remember there was this plastic, I think it's a female and female ending, based to hold the thing together. And the way the thing had been going, it had been stressing it along one line. And it was a part never designed to break. And if you have a part that's never designed to break, it's going to break. Like, this thing was in the center of it. It was really hard to pull out, so me and my dad came here before opening one day, like in the middle afternoon, and we basically just pulled the whole thing apart in order to replace it. And that was memorable because I put my weight on, like, we had built the outside walls, and we had about that thick, I want to say, it was like one of those flimsy-ish wooden materials, carbon fiberboard maybe. I think I'm getting the name wrong though. Anyway, I'm putting my weight on that in order to push myself up to work on the thing, and the thing gives way. So I sort of slammed down and I had to grab really quick on that, But the worst one was, I was Victorian Christmas. I was up on the catwalk that no one was ever supposed to be up on, but eventually, like everything else in Dave's, someone does have to go up there, and it's always me. Anyway, I was disassembling these window frames, taking out screws, and this thing comes down. This one of the wind frames, I miscalculated like how secure it was. It drops down, hits the thing, falls down, and spins down. Now below me were my mother and another volunteer working shoulder to shoulder, sort of, pretty much, on the taking apart stuff underneath. The thing comes down right between them, and it's a I want to say it's a 1-inch square. It's a it's a 2x2 wooden beam. It just comes wha-bam. It's only short, but if it hit either of their heads, that would have been a major thing. I know my dad got a minor concussion from something coming down and hitting him a while back.
Oh man.
There are some things that do happen, but we've been blessed to have nothing serious occur on set. Like, no one's died, no one's having broken bones, no one's fallen onto the spiked fence. So, yeah, they do that at home. That did happen to one poor fellow. Oh.
Well, you try to stay safe, okay?
Well, it's alright. This is an ice castle. There's no 3-story structure I can fall off.
Yeah.
No. The craziest thing I've seen was Russ. There was a 2x4 like this over probably, I want to say, a 20 to 30 foot drop straight onto the concrete that's out on the main driveway. And he's just up there straddling the thing, working on lights, stapling them in.
Oh my
And we're just looking up like, dear Lord. So that's the one thing I wouldn't do. So I really am impressed by what he pulls off. So I will attempt not to do anything he would do.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your interview.
Thank you for your time.